Jason, what do you got there?
I'm painting.
You're oh. Oh. A wise man once told me that it was all about brush control.
Yes.
Interesting.
And the bigger the brush, the bigger the control.
That you can take that to the bank, chat.
To the bank. Want to pay rent this month? Get a bigger brush.
I don't know if it works like that, but
that's what we're going for here.
We are on Thursday afternoon.
Thursday?
Hey, you know what?
Holy weekend is nearly here, buddy.
It's right around the corner. Hey, everybody. Sugar Rush, Sarcastic, Iterator, Ghost Hunter, Okran, Dead Nerve, James Hunt, Papa Chicken.
Hi!
Papa Chick is asking a very good question right out the gate. This is Jason. Hey, world.
Hi!
This is Jason. Let's talk about your painting journey today. It
Mine?
is Therapy Thursday.
Mine?
Yeah.
Who?
Well, no, the world. Our painting journey.
Oh.
Papa Chick is asking, what do you think the bristle count on that brush is?
At least 50 million. We hand count those. And we make sure that the minimum bristle count is 50 million. Minimum bristle count. We're not a middle of the road mediocre company. So
That's
when
right.
we say minimum 50 million, you can assume it's probably more like 55, 60.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for legal purposes,
Legal
50 million.
Legal purposes. Oh, wow. Get a brush made for Jason's beard. I pitched when I cut my hair. I pitched it.
You know, when my beard was brown, it was a lot easier to control. But now that you people have stressed me so bad, my beard is all gray. You get what you get.
That's all from stress. Jason just turned 31.
You get from yeah, see? Look at me. Look. My hair is looking blonde again because the gray is integrating in with the brown. That's good hair, by the way.
Hey, dude, that's a full set of hair.
Full set. I got a pretty good full set of hair. It starts to get this thing going on when you get older.
Hey, that's okay.
I think
that's called character.
Is that what it is?
He's looking deep into the mirror of chat. Jason's actually younger than me. What? Oh no, what? When are you gonna get Wizard's butt shirt?
Look at that, Wad. I want you to look. See that picture that he put up, that emote?
Yeah, this one?
That emote has me with just the gray in the front.
Oh.
So it has all been chat because my beard has only turned gray since starting dealing with chat. That was one of our first emotes.
Really? Mm-hmm. So your beard went gray first. And then
right in the middle.
Of your hair. Interesting.
Well, my hair's not gray.
Oh, I only get one of those.
Technically, when I went to get my passport renewed, they let me claim this as brown.
Heck yeah, brother! You still got it. Hey, that's okay. Hey, Jason, we love you for who you are because you're on this painting journey called life. And that's where chat is at today. That is our subject, chat. Today, it is, where are you on your painting journey? This is Jason. Hey, world. See that, Jason? Hey, world. This is Jason. Let's talk about your painting journey. So get ready because Jason has some stuff to tell you about painting today.
I need to start vetting the title of the stream better.
What do you mean? This is a great title. I give a lot of personal thought into these titles, chat. I really do.
Like the clickbaity one the other day?
No. That was not clickbait.
I feel like that was clickbait.
That was absolute truth. Because the day...
Life-changing?
It was a life-changing stream yesterday.
Okay. All right.
I categorized it that way because I changed my life.
Avian, you've met Chris.
The pain.
I was there. You know the pain I feel.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Where are you at your painting journey? This is on him. I shouldn't have gone to lunch today, chat.
I'm gray is where I'm at on my painting journey. I'm gray. I am a wizard.
Ah.
I'm a wizard who has to deal with this guy all the time.
Gandalf the Grey.
And it prevents me from attaining my wizardly goals sometimes.
Okay. You know those memes
okay.
Okay, here we go. You know those memes going around right now where it's just those random cartoon wizards walking around in like landscapes. They're like old drawing looking, and it's just like sitting at the office meant to be like looking.
I don't have the time to navigate the world of memes.
I would like to do that.
I have many important things that I have to do to take care of my customers, my employees, and my dreams.
Okay. Born to travel, meant to paint. Papa Chicken. Chris, I need your help in convincing Wad that Majora's Mask is in fact the best Zelda game. It's pretty dang good. That's just history.
That's assuming they've ever made a good Zelda game.
I guess that's true. They're all okay.
I never played them. Well, that's not true. I had a Wii available to me at one point in time, and I played whatever Zelda game was on Wii.
I feel like that game is more of when you were at that era of the N64 coming out, and you were a young lad or lass playing that game. I feel like those are the only people who really like those games. Lad or lass. Yeah.
Well, this dried.
Yeah. Speaking of painting journey, look at that bad boy.
Okay. I was highlighting purple-ish cloak. When last we spoke, chat. Yeah. When last we spoke. And I must continue this journey.
Jason.
Sir?
One of these days.
One of these very fine days?
That's it.
Okay.
That's all I have for you.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Hey, chat.
Oh, we had this chat.
I have a question for chat. Good. You know, chat asks us questions. It's time for us to ask chat questions.
Chat, tell me about your mother.
I'd like you to talk more about that.
I thought it was about to say it.
That was good. I'd like you to talk more about your mother. He was right on time with me there.
Chat, where are you in your painting journey? Are you at the beginning, the middle, or the end? What's the end of the painting journey look like? I don't think there is an end.
The inside of a pine box.
Oh.
Or a vase, if you choose to be.
Or a vase.
Or a vase, if you choose to be. You choose to be.
That was very
deconstructed
regal.
Down to the dirt from whence you came, which is my choice.
That was very much.
That's
like
my choice.
Opera setting.
I don't like the idea of being in a box and then bugs and the box dissolves and that. I'm like, let's just get down to it.
A vase.
Let's burn me. Take
you.
the stuff that burns off and put it up into the air so people can breathe me in.
Breathe, Jason.
And then the dirt that I am gets to be in a vase.
So the
I want to be on somebody's mantle.
Hey, speaking of mantles,
is it okay to do like a giveaway at some point in time that somebody in chat could like win part of me when I'm gone? I don't know when you get to collect, but would that be macabre?
We could separate it out.
We'll put
like a little sprinkle of you in each Pro Acryl bottle going forward. The real magic.
The real wizard's butt.
You want to know what we put in our paint? Humans!
That would make that commercial like, it is Soylent Green.
It is.
Pro Acryl is people.
We don't put people in our paint.
Use my ashes for paint pigment. I don't. It's kind of like it's a little weird.
Are you
carbon black? Jason Cray's carbon black. Exactly.
That's actually hilarious. Flapjack Nickel Sacks. Every step is a new beginning.
I like your style there, buddy.
Thanks.
That's the right way to look at it, too.
You're so cool. Chat's so cool. You can clip that. You can send that to the bank. Don't pay your mortgage with it, though, or your rent, or anything for that matter. General Ginkgo, I mean, Mummy Brown was color. That's true. Made of real mummies, you know? You'd never know.
Was that the British mummy?
Yes.
Or
the British mummy?
Mummy.
Yes.
Mummy.
Those B-Town, those are new brushes. We have a new series of brushes coming out called the Dauntless brush. We will be announcing those release dates on socials coming soon, so keep an eye out for those. Yes, Jason has been using the Dauntless brush for a long time now, technically, if you go back in our VODs. And you find every once in a while he'll pull out a white-handled brush. That's your Easter egg for the day. That is a Dauntless brush. So, essentially, if you need some proof on how to paint a model with this new style of brush, There you go. I would say at least 100 hours, at least, probably more than that actually, has been used.
That's insane, isn't it?
Isn't when you start actually doing the numbers on the VODs?
Yeah, it's
you'll
crazy.
go
It's like I always say, it's like when somebody asks you, like, how many hours do you think all that stream time is? I was like, I'm really afraid now to go look it up because it's lots.
You want to know what's funny, Jason? Here's some therapy for you. So you sent me this a while ago, but Twitch is taking down, like, it's limiting our storage.
Yeah.
Right? And they
keep sending me emails. You only have 5 days to get down to 15 gig.
They bumped it today to May 19th, but I've been going through all of your old VODs and looking at them and, like, your highlights, not the VODs. Like, what you clipped.
Right, because they get rid of the VODs. Can you pop in closer?
Yeah, they are, there was the Mech Warrior one you said.
Oh, did you find the one where I killed the dude with the flamer build?
It's one of the first highlights on the channel.
Oh my god, how great is that? That's like 2014.
Yeah. So it's anyway.
Oh, did you save that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
I'm slowly downloading all it. They actually sent out a report on because everybody got that notice, right?
Yeah.
So everybody's been downloading it, and we're just one streamer. So if you imagine them all downloading,
the server hit,
and they're like, "Well, we're giving you an extension because we're blowing up over here."
Yeah, it turns out the infrastructure is not correct.
So anyway, there was some cool ones, so I downloaded a bunch of them. But we don't have that much content.
There was an old one that was like a World of Tanks, where in my like KV1 I got like 10 kills. I got my first like Radley Walters medal and all that stuff way back in the day.
It's so funny. But definitely is the progression, right? You can see the progression if you want to see that chat on our Twitch highlights, right? You can really see the progression.
Oh, wouldn't that be great? Let's put together a compilation video
of all of the highlights
of the evolution of stream during the painting years.
It's very
because we've had like lots of different looks to the stream. Jen's been on.
There's a bit in that video, right, that you and me recorded that talks about stream. So I've been taking a lot of those downloads and snipping them into that segment.
Oh, okay.
But yes,
how fun.
I think we should put them all together.
How fun.
I'll put the date up there with the time and date. So funny.
You put the date up there with the time and date?
You heard me, right?
Just checking.
I'll put the date up there with the time and date.
I was just checking, Christopher. I'm just checking your work.
I might have just died and come back to life right there.
I'm just like checking your work, Christopher. That's all I'm doing.
A full reset. Hey,
You think Chris should turn his mic up? I think so too.
Why would I turn my mic up?
So people can hear you?
It's pretty loud. Sorry, I'm moving around because Jason gave me lunch. So really, I just need to put it up to my face. Can you hear me chat now? Oh, yeah, you guys definitely heard that. Here, I'll turn it up a little bit.
You miss seeing Jen on stream? She is doing well. Jen is, as the company has grown, Jen's ability to have free time becomes more and more difficult. I think the last time she would sit at the table with Poppy, but Poppy gets a little antsy. The dog we rescued over Christmas gets a little antsy when Jen's not around, so we can't just leave her in her crate. And so Jen carries her around all the time. And so sitting here on stream with the dog gets a little too chaotic.
Too chaotic.
But
yeah, I'm guilty of not putting my face up to the mic chat. So hey,
Chris sounds a little down. Are you okay there, bud? Mo cares.
Mo,
I want you to know first off, Chris, before you answer, I want you to know that what you are seeing here is the compassion that chat has for us, and especially right now for you. And that I want you to internalize this compassion that see, center yourself.
Center.
Right, he's centering himself. Right. You can't see him because he won't put himself on screen.
This show behind the camera is only for Jason.
And so he is centering himself, and I want you, Christopher, to feel this compassion that is just bleeding out of chat. And then I want you to remember and to reflect on the fact that you lied to them.
I'm not. Why am I lying? Oh, the humanity. Chris has got fallen asleep from lunch. Oh, yeah, I have lied to you all.
Chris just said that he hadn't been insulted by Little Billy yet today. Is Little Billy here?
Who knows? Hey, speaking of being insulted but not being insulted, Immortal Kombat with the 10-month sub. We appreciate you and love you. Thank you,
Who was
chat.
talking about being insulted and not being insulted?
No, we're being. Oh, hey.
White, blue.
White, blue. Spitfire Miniatures. I tried to use PA's black wash to apply a filter with a brush, and it's kind of settled into looking like puddles of oil. Do you have any tips for doing this? It's a metallic base. Tried to use the black wash to dull the metallics a bit.
Did you thin it? Did you just take it right out of the bottle and slop it on? How are you applying it? The wash can be thin just like normal paint. So depending on how intense you want it to be, you can thin it, right? So if you just want it to be a little bit of a filter to knock the metallic down, then thin it and apply it.
Yeah.
If you're looking for it to be, a really big, intense change of both color and that grittiness that black wash can give, then use it right out of the bottle. Both are equally as doable, but you got to kind of have a plan.
It's all a part of the plan. Chat?
Well, that's
Spitfire says, got it. Thank you. I'm going to thin it and give it a shot.
Yeah, because, one thing that I teach that I think you would be best served no matter where you are in your painting journey is to remember that over-thinning a paint will cause you less problem than not thinning it enough, in all cases. Because if you over-thin the paint and apply it to the model, the worst case is you won't get enough of the color that you were looking for. I guess you could say that if you don't also wick enough of it away, you could get paint, running around if it's too thin into recesses, and that could be a problem, but you can fix that easy. But always err on the side of caution being thinning it more than you think you need to. See how it looks when you apply it to the model at that thinness, and then adjust. You can always do another layer. It's hard to take a layer away.
Hey, the mo you know. And you know what, Jason? I really appreciated how you just said no matter where you're at on your personal painting journey.
I didn't say personal.
I heard that, though. I heard...
You're just turning this into whatever you want it to be.
You did say painting journey, though.
Yeah, I say that all the time.
I
say that all the time.
It's in the title.
You're literally robbing it from me and making it the title of the stream.
Robbing it or collaborating with you? I'm on your mind wave.
This is collaboration like we're painting this model? Is that the kind of collaboration you're saying?
Jason, but we are. Chat, you should have heard Jason at lunch today. But first of all, Dr. Rhino raided with a party of 32. Welcome in,
Rhino, what's going on, buddy?
We appreciate those raids. Welcome in, everybody. This is Jason talking about...
It's a Rhino raid.
It's a Rhino raid. And we're talking about your personal painting journey today.
Mine?
Everybody's. Mm. Your personals. Our personals. We personals.
Somebody had asked what color the horse was. Ugg, was that you? I don't remember who asked.
I think so, yes. Ugg was asking what the workup was.
So this was all done with royal purple. And then yellow green, bright yellow green as underpainting that we do, and then I went over the top of it with a new gray green.
That gray green is how
the gray green was filtered over the top with an airbrush, and then over the top of that was bright warm gray as the highlight. So very, very simple way to get kind of zombified, dead alien monster skin. You can see using this in a lot of ways. This obviously becomes kind of like dead zombie because we have ribs protruding and open sores, very Nurgle-esque. But yeah, royal purple. No, that's plum. Royal purple as a base, right? And then yellow green, bright yellow green. Maybe I used dark yellow green. I think I used dark yellow green, bright yellow green.
Yeah.
So those three underpainted. When I normally underpaint, I use something like a royal purple, dark blue, something like that. And then normally what I would do for skin that is more alive is I would put something in like a burgundy, or we've used red oxide, something in the red world here, because that gives you the idea of blood in the veins and arteries. And then the bright yellow green for the fatty tissue and the brighter warm areas of the skin. So here's your underpainting for flesh. That's just kind of a good general starting point. A bluish purple for the shadows, a red for the flush areas, the midtones, and then a green for the highlights is the way to think about that.
And you do that for a lot.
Here, we did this.
Yeah.
We got rid of the red because we were looking for dead, right? Knowing that we would go back in and add, in this case, magenta as a reddish in the shadows that I glazed on the top. So I used the magenta wash, the new magenta wash from the amp line, to glaze in and create all this magenta in there that gives it the idea of like bruise, sore, and, you know, not quite blood, but it works as blood without having to use red. Remember that when you're trying to create open wounds and flesh, you don't have to use like bold pyro red to be blood. It looks a little too cartoony, and sometimes it doesn't give off the effect you're looking. So pop in close.
Yeah.
And you'll see how well the magenta does as being almost like, you know, it's not necessarily wet anymore. It's like tendons and all that. The blood's gone, but the stain of the blood is left behind on the meat and the gristle. So gives you a neat way to do that. And then you can see a little bit of the magenta wash that I just used as a spot wash or a spot glaze in the shadows to bring a little bit of that bruised, once alive, blood pooling in the recesses kind of thing. So it works pretty well. And it turned out really good.
It's a cool color.
Real simple. If you go back and watch some of the VOD work on there, I think you'd get it really, really quick.
You did it essentially, the whole workup, essentially in one VOD.
For the green base skin, and then we highlighted and did the other stuff on another one. Yeah, perfect.
Here's a question from Michael Holtz. Thinning has been a habit since using AP for 2 years. Does PA need to be painted when brushing? Maybe you mean thinning there, Michael Holtz.
Hang on a second. Repeat that for me?
Yeah. So thinning has been a habit since using AP for 2 years. Does PA need to be painted when brushing?
Yeah, so probably means do you have to thin when using Pro-Acryl with the brush? No. So the long and short of how we differ from other paint lines is that we come right out of the bottle ready to be used, and you don't have to worry about messing around on the palette and thinning a lot to get a good fluid nature to Pro-Acryl. So you can just use it, right? Now, thinning is the way that I say it is you thin for opacity, not for viscosity with Pro-Acryl. With a lot of paints, they come too thick because that's how they suspend pigment in their paint, is they use a thicker medium. Most of our competitors work that way because they're more like house paint than fine art paint. And not that that's bad, it's just a different way of doing it. The mediums are a little bit thicker in order to maintain the pigment in suspension when you want to have a lot of vibrant pigment. For us, the secret to Pro-Acryl is that that's not the case. Pro-Acryl, you'll feel like it's a lighter, thinner paint right out of the bottle, but it gives you the same opacity and same vibrancy of color that you're used to from other lines. But that allows you to just use it straight out of the bottle. Start painting with it, and then just use the moisture on your brush. I've got a whole video where I discuss that, wicking and maintaining the moisture control on your brush will allow you to do any kind of technique. I never switch over to my palette real quick.
Yeah.
I just use a dry palette. This is just palette paper or a piece of glass. This is 100% of how I paint. And so everything that you see me doing here, unless it's like a wash, you can see some places where I add a lot of water to the palette to create like a really thin wash of something out of the transparency. But for the bulk of the way I'm painting, you just see these little spots of very vibrant, opaque color. And I just take my brush, get a little bit of wetness on it. Maybe I wipe it once or twice on the towel, and it still has some dampness in it, and that's all I use. I bring that over here and pull a little bit of paint out off of the spot. Then I go to my palette on my thumb, and I'll test the opacity here, because all I'm adding thinning for is to make it either more or less see-through, right? If I want it opaque, I just use it straight out of the bottle. But it won't clump up out of the bottle. It won't give you brush strokes. It won't be thick and covered in obscure details. All of our paints work fantastic right out of the bottle. Thinning on the brush is a little bit of water on the brush just makes it flow on and off of the bristles on the brush better. So super easy.
Here's a question. What's the story with the thicker AMP paints as far as how you change the viscosity due to the preference of Dallas?
What's the story? You just did the whole story.
I think that is the story.
That's the story.
But
Dallas.
maybe
Dallas likes a little bit of a creamier paint because he paints with what I call the two brush technique or the two brush blending. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But he basically sits here like this, right? And he paints with one brush, right? Doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo. And then he takes the other brush with a little bit of his spit or water on it and uses that to then pop into the paint he just put on the model and then thin it out. So it will be opaque where he starts and then blends it out. So he gets very quick blends that way. They're very smooth, airbrush-like blends, almost like wet blending, but you're only using one color. But the paint has to be a little bit more viscous at that point in time in order to maintain because you're thinning it live on the model, right? As opposed to thinning it and testing it on the palette first. So you want a little bit more creamy thickness to start with so that you get that nice pull on your blend. So it's a technique thing. And for those of us that don't paint that way, you'll never notice that there's a difference. Like you'll literally never notice. They work exactly the same as all the Pro Acryl paints. So
okay. But how is it different as far as the medium MXL says? But I think it's the same formula.
Yeah. Yep. Just a hair more viscosity. But still not something where I have to thin them. We've been using them here, and I use them exactly the same as all the others because, you know, like I mentioned to people, they're like, they said it was thicker. I was like, you only know that because I told you, go use the paint. You'll never notice that as a quality of the paint. Unless you paint that way, and then you'll appreciate the fact that, or if you do a lot of wet blending, right? You'll appreciate the fact that it is a little bit more viscous, can hold up to a little bit more agitation without tearing on the surface if that's where you choose to do your blending and such.
Belcor is asking, do you have any examples of using magnesium paint? We do. Just off of the top of my head, it's that true metallic.
On this guy's armor.
Yeah, this as well. And then there's a video link right here for you. This is a great example. Yeah. Here we go. The true metallic gold workup you did is very good.
Oh, yeah. The axe. Do you still have that axe? I don't think I have that axe over here. Right?
You have it, and it is over here.
So I don't have it, is what he's saying.
You don't have it.
We have it. We, the people, have it.
Go. That workup.
Yeah. So this was all done with working up from the magnesium.
When you say you use that as a base for a lot of metallics,
yeah, because it works just as well for, you know, yellow metallics like golds and things like that, bronzes, as it does for silver, because it's also the base on the armor for this guy. And then the new steel over the top of magnesium here. If you pop in close.
Yep.
Right, so that's magnesium with steel over the top, so it gives that kind of dirty, bronzy underlayment that gives it a tarnished armor effect, and that's, you know, very, very simple to achieve. Or here, it just gives you a really good, you know, brownish, yellowish shadow for using on yellow metals too. Just feels a lot more natural.
It's very nice.
It's the perfect starting point. Just like it, and dark bronze is the same way. Dark bronze will give you a little bit more yellow than the magnesium will. Magnesium plays a little bit more into steel, but dark bronze I use underneath the silvers as well. They look great. Yeah, steel is so good. Magnesium and dark bronze are my two favorite metallic colors that we make. Yeah, right. He looks like he's out of Dark Souls or something, which is what really appealed to me about it. I think there's a whole squad of these guys. Yeah, we determined they're from Bestiarum Miniatures, and they're like the Lord's Guard Knights or something like that.
Lord's Guard's Cavalry.
Lord's Guard's Cavalry. I think there's like 2 or 3 different sculpts for him, but this one I really liked, and we picked it up off of some printer on Etsy way back. Because as I'm going along, and I'm like, ooh, I would paint that. It just hit the rule of cool.
Wolf's Guard is what they're called.
Been sitting here forever.
Yes, it is a very interesting looking model. Our next series is going to be painting white. Not necessarily just white armor, but just the concept of painting white. Get ready. That's coming down the pipe. Pike? Is it the pipe or the pike?
Yes.
I think it's the pike.
Coming down the pike.
I see. That is magnesium under that gold. Free Sanguinius, he deserves better. You hate painting white? Well, that is exactly why we're doing this. So stay tuned. Because I think a lot of people struggle with painting white.
Yes, 100%.
It's true. So that's why I think that's why we're doing it.
One of those colors that just drives people bananas.
The concept of it is something that it needs to be, thought of from but like what you say, you're not painting white half the time, right?
No, in painting white, you're very rarely ever using white. It should just be, in most cases, there's no golden rule, but in most cases, the white should only be used as the final edge highlight, specular highlight. That final color that you use on white should be white. That'll make it all look white just by having it on the edges.
Yeah.
But it's the brighter colors in that, it goes back into showing what I've been saying for so long, which is that value is way more important than color, right? Because the brightest thing on your model will start to look white, right? It's like this cloth reads as being like a white cloth that's just very dirty on him, even though there's nothing close to white as far as the brightness goes. But we can fool the brain into thinking, oh yeah, that's just dirty white cloth, because it's one of the brightest things on the model next to the metallic itself. Can you zoom us out a little bit?
Yeah.
Not a punch, but a scroll.
How does that feel? There you go.
There you go. Yeah. So speak of the devil, let's do the magnesium like we did on that axe.
On that axe.
Because it looks so good.
Wobbly moves. Can you explain what the point of dry brushing is? Wobbly, great question.
Great. Dry brushing is a method that allows you to grab details on a model very quickly to highlight them. Rivets on tanks, just about anything, because the way you use the brush should just be applying paint to raised areas. So in most cases, you're dry brushing a brighter color over a darker base to get that highlight. Mm-hmm. And it's just the motion of the brush and the angle you hold it at picks up just the upper surfaces, right? A great display of that is the recent video we did where I painted the tank.
Yeah.
And we go through the weathering a tank and painting this guy. Dry brushing is how we got all of the highlights. If you want to punch in close.
Yeah.
Right, how we got all the highlights, except for these vertical lines. I had to do those by hand because those are not very deep in the sculpt, right? But all of the other edges, like the top edge of the turret, top edge of the barrel, all the rivets and things like that, using dry brushing, even down here on this wheel, will allow you to do very, very quick highlighting without having to go in and touch each one of those things with a brush. It picks them out, and then you just go back and detail the high brightness ones with the brush. So when used correctly, it doesn't create a lot of texture. This is the weathered side, so you can see. Mm-hmm. It doesn't create a ton of texture, but it can give you really, really good value and catch the highlights on a model where, you're not really wanting to spend all that time. Vehicles. I don't dry brush like man-sized figures very often unless they're like stone golems or tree men, because dry brushing at scale can give a little bit too much texture. It can start to look a little funky. So I'm a little careful with it on smaller miniatures. Like dry brushing this guy, it would be a little bit difficult because, you're going to put too much texture on there. But if he were a dryad or something like that, then the bark would want the texture. A stone golem would want the texture. There's a lot of things where you might want it. But it does create texture if you're not careful. It's a great tool.
What's that model again? That tank? What was it from? I'm drawing a brain fart. Dust 1942.
Yeah, Dust 47 or 47. Dust 1947.
So do I dry brush before I shade my minis?
I like to base coat the model with a dark color. I start from dark and move to light. So I dry brush in between the base coat, right? Highlight. My first highlight or midtone. Then I would do, depends, if I were applying a wash or a shade, I might go ahead and dry brush once, a little heavy, and then apply the shade, and then dry brush lightly over the top of that. That can give you a little bit of a more blended highlight going on. But you can also just do it after you've done the wash. You kind of want to do your dry brush since it's doing highlights. You want to do it after you've set the bulk of your base coat and shadows on the model. Then come in with the wash, or then come in with the dry brush and let it do the highlight work. And then paint all your details.
Dark Shadow says, I recently picked up some PA basing textures. Are there any plans for expanding the range, water textures, or pigments? Have you guys done any videos for basing? Asking for a friend.
Yeah, we have some basing videos up on the YouTube channel. As far as doing anything with water effects, I'm assuming, or like
pigments,
like a resin water effect or a epoxy water effect, I would like to. It's something that I think there's a spot in the market for a really good one.
Yeah.
We are not working on it currently. I'll be very honest with you. It's not something that's on my calendar that we've started with, but I could see that happening, late this year, early next, if we decide to do that. Weathering pigments, the answer is yes. I have not shown them off on stream yet, but we are working on a line of weathering pigments that I think you guys will love. What was it? What was the other question?
That was it.
Okay.
And then any videos.
Yeah, and then the basing videos would be up on the channel.
Pop Chicken, using colorful undercoats and transparent brown with the airbrush, nice. I made a pretty cool color shift kind of look, but sorry, let me go back up. I lost it here. I've made some mistakes on the model. I'm not sure how to recreate that effect with a brush to neaten up things. Suggestions.
To neaten, okay.
Here, let me go back. Let me find.
Yeah, help me out here. That was a lot to take in all at once. I need bright gold and rich gold, right? I think that's what we used.
Here it is, right here for you.
Recently picked up some of the basing textures. Are there plans for?
Sorry.
Oh no, that's the wrong one.
This one. There you
go. Using colorful undercoats, okay, and then transparent brown. You've made a pretty cool pseudo color shift, okay. You made some mistakes on the model, and I'm not sure how to recreate that effect with a brush to neaten things up. Made some mistakes on the area that you did the underpainting on and then the brown transparent on? Is that what you're asking?
Might have to clarify for us, Pop Chicken.
If we think about that, the easiest way is to kind of isolate the area that you've messed up as a shape. So let me just grab Dante and his wings, right? So if we're looking at this and we've got kind of the color shift of the underneath the white wings going on, if I were to look at like an area like up here where maybe I messed up on the feathers, I would probably have to isolate the feathers that I messed up on, paint them again with the undercolors, and then with the brush, thin in your case, transparent brown, in my case, transparent white, thin it way down and apply it over that area to a brush and build it up over a lot of coats to make it match the area around it, right? Does that make sense? So if you were doing it with the airbrush, you're going to get a different level of saturation of color with each pass. You're going to get more color out of the airbrush in general than you will with the brush when glazing, doing that filtering. So you'd want to thin down with your brush. Or no, you'll get more color with the brush. So you have to be careful and thin it down more off the brush to match the airbrush coloring. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So just start over in just the area where you have the mistake and work it up with the brush. Don't worry about the airbrush. And just thin everything more with the brush because the brush tends to deliver more color with each stroke than the airbrush does per layer. Okay? Prime your mini. Yep. After that, you paint with the base. After that, I dry brush the highlights, and then you can work with shades. Did I get that right? I would do it Yes, you can do that. Let's talk this through step by step.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'm not confusing people.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to take this model, well, let's take this model because she's kind of a junker, right? So do you have one that's just prime black?
Yep.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm here for you.
So we'll start this one, right? So we've got a warrior model here that's primed, okay? If I were to then do a quick base coat of, let's just do warm brown, let's do black brown, right? They're all on my bench. I don't know. This is going to be a nightmare. Dark umber works.
This color works.
This color works. This will be great.
Oh, 100%. We love these kinds of questions, so no worries at all.
Yeah, and I think better on something like this where it's process-based, let's just go ahead and walk through it rather than me just tell it over and over again so you can see it, right? So let's just do like the leather armor here as an example, right? And I would base with a dark brown. I work from dark to light. I'm a big fan when I teach people painting to paint the way light really works, which is that, within the absence of light, we just get darkness. So start from your dark colors, and as you add brighter colors, think about moving them towards your light source. So if you're painting something's outdoor in the sun, move all your highlights toward the top of each shape. If you're doing some special lighting source from another angle, move towards that angle, so on and so forth. It just becomes a lot easier to think about each one of your brush strokes as you go to brighter and brighter colors, needing to move towards the light. Okay, I'm just using a BAB to apply a lot of color here at once. Don't worry about niceties at this point. All right, so we just get a good base of color on there. Let's just grab all this area. Got a lot of shapes that will grab the dry brush better. We do all of this. Okay. Technically, that was wet brushing. I'm using a dry brush to put paint on wet, right? If you want to think of it like that. Okay, now in just a very simple way, let's take some light umber, okay? And rather than base coat, so go back, what was it that he said his process? Prime, paint with the base, dry brush highlights, then you can work with shades. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to take light umber. It's a mid-tone. So when we think about highlights, dark umber to light umber is a shade to a mid-tone. When we talk about value, a dark base, a mid-tone color, and then the bright version of this would be something like beige gray. Okay? That would be a nice color workup from shadow to mid-tone to highlight. So for the first dry brush, you don't want to use what you're thinking of as your highlight color. You want to use your mid-tone color, okay? So I'm going to use light umber as my first dry brush. And I'm going to, we'll just use the same flat brush. You got a choice when you're dry brushing, right? We have flat dry brushes that are wide and narrow, right? They will catch edge detailing very nice. Or the dome dry brushes that you see a lot now. The dome dry brush will put paint on more surfaces because of the shape of it, whereas this will only hit like the top surface on the edge. This has the ability as you go across to reach deeper into recesses and deliver more color. So just think about what you're trying to do. Okay, let's do the dome dry brush for the mid-tone. Right, so I'm gonna get a little bit of paint on here, wipe most of it off on my paper towel. Then we're just going to come over here, and this is going to deliver more paint on the surface because of the shape, and I'm just going to use this as a way, again, when dry, can you pop in? When dry brushing, you're going to always make sure that your brush stroke goes from your light source across the model, never back the other way. So only touch the model in one direction. Light source up here from the top, down across the model. Lift, back up across the top, down across the model. So I'm only ever hitting the model from the top down. My stroke back this way never touches the model. Make sense? That's very, very important for a dry brush to have any effect at all. If you dry brush back the other direction, you start putting paint in the shadows, which is eliminating the reason why you're dry brushing at all. Okay? Hopefully you can see that by just kind of doing that. Now I have what is effectively just really good leather color right out of the gates. This is done with more paint on the brush so that I'm delivering more, and using the dome dry brush that delivers more paint so that it's covering more area. If I use the flat dry brush, it would catch all these edges, but it would not put a lot of paint on the surface of these little panels of armor. Whereas the dome dry brush delivers more paint onto the whole surface right? And gives us a much better blended mid-tone. So that's already a really good paint job for doing the leather, okay? So really, really simple. Then I'm gonna clean my brush out real quick. Always important to make sure you clean your dry brush very well after each stage. Whereas with a normal brush, you don't have to do that because it collects so much paint, it will get very stiff very quick. Okay, now I'm gonna take the highlight color, beige gray, okay? So beige gray, taking that, and now I'm gonna use the flat dry brush because now I do just want edges. At the scales we work at, size of the models, if you were to try to use the dome dry brush again with another color over this, you would cover most of what you just did with the light umber, okay? Because the scale of this is so small. And then especially if you're doing like a Space Marine, dry brushing with 2 colors is almost impossible on a Space Marine. You wind up like smudge brushing and using the effect, or switch to a different dry brush like what I'm gonna do. This shape of this brush will not apply as much color unless you really force it. So what I'm doing here now is I take the brighter color, my highlight color, same thing, just top down, and now I just want to catch those edges. And it'll start pulling out only kind of the straight areas. Notice how we don't brighten up the surface of those panels much, but we start getting the edge highlight detailed in. And that's just a function of the shape of this brush, okay? So that's why you have flat dry brushes and domed. Our dry brush set has 2 angled dry brushes. The angled dry brush is even better than the flat for most surfaces because you can kind of use the angle to put it into an underarm and pull outward, whereas the flat one, tremendously flat like this, is really meant for like sides of vehicles and such. Okay. Get a little bit of brightness up on the top of the chest there just because it's facing the light source. And then, again, just make sure we... What do you mean vertical?
What about doing this?
These are all vertical.
Yeah, I guess that's...
These armor panels are just like, each one of them is like the side of a tank.
Yeah.
Right? So there's no difference.
Just the directional B-tone.
Yeah, no difference. You always want to go from your light source, because imagine like the side of a tank, you don't want to switch and do side to side just because you'll get more detail that way, because that messes up your light source. It messes up your shadows. The goal of this is to make sure that only the areas that face the light catch the detailing, right? Notice how this little panel up in here isn't getting any paint on it because the belt covers it. And that's exactly the way that should be. There wouldn't be any light hitting that because it's casting a shadow over the belt. So the brush acts like a ray of light and only delivers the paint where it can hit. Anything that blocks it will be in darkness, which is exactly what you want. Okay? So there you go. And you can see how that right there, I don't like using a lot of wash. This right here, you wouldn't even have to wash, right? That just looks like good leather. So that's a great, simple way to dry brush using 3 colors: base tone, mid-tone, highlight. You paint the base tone on with a brush and just cover everything, no big deal. Then you dry brush with one of our dome dry brushes to deliver a little bit more paint on the surface to get your mid-tone set up, which gives you a nice contrast. And then you highlight just to get the edges with the dry brush, with the flat dry brush, right? And so there you go. That's very nice. So you can stop there, or you mentioned doing shades, so we could add a shade in here. Let's do one of the new washes. Oh, let me put Dante away. We can do petroleum brown. You want to do petroleum brown?
What's the other? It's or you think that'd be the best one, or what about the?
Yeah, the brown gray or the petroleum brown are going to be perfect.
Brown
right?
Gray. Petroleum brown. Do petroleum brown.
The petroleum brown. Now you have to find it again. It was right here yesterday, right? Where? No, that's brown gray.
Is the one right?
Petroleum brown. Petroleum brown. My set of eyes, Chris, because my paints are completely disastrous right now.
We'll get
Tell me about your mother.
Tell me about. See, he knew it. Tell me about your mother.
We'll get there one day.
It's Therapy Thursday. All right, so let's just put some petroleum brown wash out on the palette.
It was dark umber, light umber, and then what was the other color?
This is the beige gray. The new amp beige gray.
Yep.
Is a perfect
beige gray. I like it.
Perfect way to move up. I mean, you can see like that's just done. Yep. Right? You could just go in now, and if you wanted to paint the leather straps a different color of brown or whatever you wanted to do. So let's do this. Let's take that, and then I'm going to use the same. I'm going to grab one of my big number 6s, actually. Right. So I'll just take a big round brush. Get it damp. Grab my wash. Right, and then just apply my wash over everything. Right. Now my wash is going to alter the color because of the color that I chose, but it's also going to add some shading back in, although you can see from the way we were able to do the dry brushing that our shade was already pretty much taken care of. Right? That's why the way that I paint doesn't necessarily need a shade on there, so you can eliminate this step, but this will turn the leather a cool color. So I'll show you how you can use your washes to alter the coloration of the surface that you've done, you know.
This is a great leather armor workup.
Oh, it's super simple, right? Like this is almost, this is too quick. I feel like this is actually cheating. We joke about that a lot, but this actually feels like cheating because the job you get done in a really quick amount of time. Now, I'm probably working faster than I should. You got to be careful when you dry brush. If you dry brush heavier because you're applying less paint and you go back over it with a wash real quick, you can wind up moving that dry brush around and lose that edge. You don't want to do that. So make sure you just let it dry in between stages. I'm not giving it near as much time, but I'm being very light with the wash. That's why I'm not just piling it on because I know I could mess up some of the dry brush if I do. Okay. Back here, I didn't really get anything. That's all in shadow anyway, but we want to cover that. Okay, boom. Right, now, the key to this, though, is that what has the wash done? Think in terms of, and again, I'm going to go back to it. Eric Swenson, friend of ours, posted up today something that I say all the time, that value, the brightness of a color is the most important thing you do when painting, is choosing how to match dark and bright colors together to get contrast on the model. That's the most important thing. Value does all, this is what he posted. He said, value does all the work, color gets all the credit. And I love that. Because I always say that value and volume are what make the model. Color is way on down the line. Color is almost the least important choice you make. Not truly, because it evokes an emotional response, but color is what people see and go, wow, that's great. But if you just say, hey, what colors did you use? And then I hand you the colors and you go paint that same model with those colors, I guarantee you won't be satisfied. Because it wasn't the colors, it was how I used the darkness to brightness of those colors and layered them correctly to give the eye the sense of lighting and volume on that model. So when we do that, what we've done here with the wash, after we've gone over the browns and such, is we've darkened everything, right? We've darkened the dark umber, we've darkened the light umber, and we've darkened the edge highlight. So now we no longer have our bright highlight that we chose. So we said at the beginning, I want beige gray to be my highlight. Well, there's no beige gray on this model anymore. What there is a blend of beige gray and petroleum brown wash, which is much darker. So now, even though we still have good value, we go from a dark color to a mid-tone on the panels and then a bright edge. The function of what we did is still there, but the brightness isn't. So this is too dark. This doesn't have the proper highlighting. So what we need to do is do that highlight step one more time. So you do it before so that when you put the wash on there, you bring those edges down along with all of the other coloring. So it's all even and has that edge. But now when I dry brush with the flat brush, you'll see that it even brings it alive even more. Now this is going to take a while. So I'm going to paint on the other model and we'll come back to that. Don't let me forget. But I got to let that wash dry. Unless you want to kick on the compressor and I'll do it with the airbrush.
What's your preference?
I'll just paint.
Yeah, you're good.
I'll paint. I don't care. But
No,
now these people have to stick around and watch us longer.
Marketing!
Marketing.
No, that's great. And we're all waiting with bated breath. We're so excited. All right. I'm sorry, everybody. I was recording that bit because I was letting the chef cook.
I know I put rich gold out here. Yes.
Will there be a new texture trainer soon?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, we have. As a matter of fact, I had a meeting today about the new Nova Open.
Nice.
Trainer, so that's going to be happening.
Papa Chicken, I know they're pretty niche, but have you ever thought about color shift paints or making something like that?
No, we had this question yesterday, and actually
yeah.
No. And I'll be very honest with you. The reason that I am not thinking in terms of color shift paints are twofold. One, I don't use them. I tend to want to use my paints in a way that give the illusion of color shift. I do not want an actual color shift on my model. because the color shift paints require the light in the room to do the talking for you, and I want my painting to do the talking for the model. Not the
scenario lighting.
Yeah, not the scenario lighting, because your color shift paints are going to look different depending on what room you're in.
That's a good point.
And I don't like that, right? That's just a personal thing. They do really, really cool effects. The second part is that there is a company that exists called TurboDork, and we like the TurboDork folks, and they make great product. So if that is something that you're looking for, there's already somebody in the industry that, while I may be able to create a color shift paint and I might be able to do a really, really good one, there's already good ones out there. And I'm not here to just offer product. I want to do something cool and new. And above all else, I want to make sure that the products I make are the products I use.
Yep.
Because I don't know, I just am kind of old school in that regard. I feel like if somebody comes up to me and says, hey, why should I use Procryl, that I can do anything with my paints and be completely satisfied with the outcome. And you leave with the confidence knowing that, hey, this painter that I met uses the products he makes on everything he does.
Yeah.
Right? So like when we do this dry brushing, this is a way I would paint, I would not use the color shift paints much. And so I would feel bad if I was like, somebody came up and goes, why should I use your color shift paints? I'd be like, I don't know, I don't use them.
No, that's a good point.
It's just not who I am. I know it sounds kind of funky, but
no. Another quick question about the dry brushing when you were going over it. What about the amount of? Can you explain just really quickly on the amount of paint that you should put on a dry brush?
Oh yeah, sure. Hang on, let me get this mix of magnesium and
Mr.
rich
Blue,
gold.
I think
going.
that'll answer your question there.
Yeah, because the amount of paint on the brush is one of the most important things. There's two things you're always looking for, no matter the technique you're using, is the amount of paint and the fluidity or viscosity of that paint on the brush. That's the most important thing, because that will dictate how the color acts on the surface each time. So when I'm dry brushing, let's just use the flat brush as an example. The first thing is I don't want it too damp. So you can see this isn't very shiny. I've got most of the water out of it, right? No dampness on my hand as I move it around. There's no shine on my hand, no wetness really. And then we'll go get some color. I'll use the dark umber just so I can show you.
I'm on the palette there.
So I'm just going to load the brush up, and I'm putting more paint than I would ever use. I call this seasoning. So go back over here. I'm seasoning the brush. I got way more paint than I'll put on the model. And then I'm going to grab my paper towel, right? And pop out. And on my paper towel, all that paint goes away, wasted. Pop, there you go. Because what I'm doing is I'm pushing the paint up into the bristles. Now I've got virtually no paint. And as I go back now on my model, now I'm going to have it to where the paint isn't going to streak. It's just going to catch the edges, right? So look at that, right?
I'm going to zoom in for you. There you go.
Right? It's just catching the edges that stick out. And I would never dry brush dark brown on white, but maybe. Maybe if I was doing some sort of a fire effect or something that starts brighter in the crevices. Maybe this is a thing. But regardless, right? It allows me to continually work around the model, right? It doesn't get dusty this way. There's no need for, special products or anything. It's not going to deliver a lot of dust or anything. It's going to do exactly what I want it to do by picking up either the top raised surface or just the details all along. But notice how I'm not getting big, heavy brush strokes. I can get a lot of paint delivered if I continually hit an area like that and build up on the chin.
Yeah.
But every stroke is being very nice and consistent with its delivery of paint. Okay? That's the thing you have to be worried about. Again, it's like when I talked about earlier, thinning the paint and being cautious to over thin, if anything, because you can always add another layer. Same with dry brushing. If I don't have enough paint on the brush and I go like this, I'm not going to see anything. Go put a little bit more, wipe it off on the paper towel, and go try it again. But you're always wanting to make sure that you don't do like this. You don't go put a lot of paint over there because you didn't get enough, wipe just a little bit off, and then hit it and get big blobby streaks or something, right? Because you can deliver way too much paint at once. So you get too much darkness on there. Right? So that's really it. You load it up so that I've got a lot of paint. You can see the paint pushing up in the bristles, which means I have enough paint to be able to dry brush for quite a while, right? But it's not in globs. None of the surfaces here have got some random event of paint that's going to happen. Now, when dry brushing, don't do this. Don't hit it so hard that you get the whole brush like this, because you will deliver paint from the tip all the way through, because there's paint all the way down the side of the brush here, right? Inside the bristles. So if I bend the brush over like this, it's going to put way more paint on there than I want. When you're dry brushing, you're literally just using the tip of the bristles, right? I don't know if it's how easy it is for you guys to see what I'm looking at.
I can see
right?
it. we get the idea with your hand.
Yeah, the tip is not supposed to flex very much. Now, depending on how deep you're trying to get in, you might press harder, but don't ever do this. Right? If you're doing that, you're best served, if that's the kind of paint coverage you want, that's when you're best served using one of the dome dry brushes. Because a dome dry brush, every hit that you take hits more surface area because it's not narrow. Right. It has a bigger surface area of bristles that hit. It will deliver paint over that entire area and pick more up as you go. Oh, this was wet. So that's going to blend all my browns now. So that looks absolute like butt. But there you go. Yeah, I had moisture on that one. So.
Well, okay, yeah. I think I get the point. It's definitely about controlling the pressure and not going too hard on that brush.
Yeah, just use I think of it when I say the term feathering. I use that term a lot, and what it really means is a very light brush hand. Anytime I'm saying feather, you just want to use a light brush pressure so that you're skating the brush along the surface, which gives you very little paint and helps blending, helps with textures, helps with dry brushing. Anytime you're using that feathery touch, it's just a light wispy touch. You'll see it. And if you do that and you're hitting the model and not seeing paint, press a little harder. And you're still not seeing enough paint, press a little harder. Don't jam the paintbrush on there and go, that screwed everything up. Right?
Yep.
Start simple and work towards delivering more. Okay? All right, so this is pretty much still some wetness in the crevices. Hopefully I can work around this and it'll be right.
A little bit, or I'll turn the air compressor on.
Nah, I think I'm okay.
Okay.
I will show my championship skills at dry brush. Ooh, no, that's a little tacky still.
You want me to turn?
I'll do this, and this will get rid of the wet, because it'll be on my finger. That's fine. All right, people will understand what's going on. All right, so I'm going to get a little bit more of the beige gray, which is what we did the highlight with, remember? We have now covered that highlight up with the petroleum brown wash, which darkens it. Now we're going to go back again with the flat dry brush, same dry brush we did the first time. Again, I'll show this. I get a little bit of paint on the brush, more so than I would use. See, I've loaded it up with quite a bit, right? And then I wipe all that off over here. And then we come over here and boom, we just start doing those edges again. Same exact direction, only hitting it from the top. A little bit more paint. I'm not seeing enough color on there. And then again, there we go. There we go. Yeah, I'm barely using the tip of the brush. Yeah, and that will brighten up those edges. Boom, now you got your highlight back.
Can you kind of recap that?
Yeah, so very, very simply put, you can use dry brushing to give you way more complicated paint schemes than you might think. Everybody talks about it as being a noob's paint style. Not the case. If you know how to use it, you're confident to use it, you can control it to not have the detriments, the powdery surface, the smudging, all of that. Then you can use it to your benefit to extreme effect, right? This is a great leather. I would use this as a model I would show off, right? Because it looks great, right? And it's basically all dry brush. The only thing that we didn't apply with a dry brush is the base coat. The base coat was dark umber, just applied with it. I did apply it with the same brush, just wet. Then we dry brushed with the dome dry brush, the round dome DD2 in this case, right? We took a dome dry brush and we used the light umber, and using the dome dry brush applies more paint, so you can see how we have more highlight up on the upper surfaces. It just hits more of the surface, right? But it still leaves the dark umber in the shadows, so it gave us good value and volume on the armor. Then we use the flat dry brush, which is better for just catching edges because it has such a narrow delivery band here, right? It's going to, depending on the width, it's going to cover a lot of area across, but it's not going to have so much that it hits on the surface. So then we use the brighter beige gray, and just at the same time, remembering to only ever apply the paint from the light source across the model. So in this case, consider my light source to be up on her right shoulder because all my brush strokes came across like this. So you hit it this way, lift, draw back, and then hit it again. Don't do this. Don't hit and apply paint bottom up because you want that shadow to stay on the bottom of each of these panels. If you apply paint coming on the upward swing, then you're going to apply paint into the shadow areas as you go brighter, and that messes up the balance of everything. So you do the beige gray, or coming down, That gives you now a shade, a midtone, and a highlight. Then we applied a wash just because the community member in chat was asking about whether or not where you would apply the wash. And I would apply the wash after I've done the base coat, midtone, and highlight. Then I would do the wash, darkens everything and pulls all those colors together. That can help your blending, right? Gives you a really nice base. And then when the wash is dry, then you go back and use your highlight color again, same application as you did before, just to brighten those edges up. Because the wash will dull the highlight down. But now what you get is you get a highlight that extends and blends because that first layer is a little bit darker and my bright layer goes over it. And so I get a combo of both of those highlights being done, and it gives it much more depth than a standard dry brush would. And looking at this, now you can go back and change the leather pouch color or whatever you want to do, paint the details, and you have a really, really good looking mini that you could have a whole army done this way with all their armor for, whatever fantasy models you were doing or sci-fi, and just be done. You could do this with military colors, doesn't have to be leather. Obviously, hopefully you can see that you can do whatever you want to here. And get really, really good results. That was great. This is about as close as we're going to punch in, but you can see there's no dustiness, there's no choppiness or texture or anything there. So it's a very, very clean surface, very, very good way to work, and gets work done very quickly, and can have a really something you're very proud of that you still don't have to spend weeks and weeks painting.
No, that's great. Chat, hopefully that answers your question. I believe so. Dry brushing explained. Hey, thanks for doing that.
I'm here for you, Chris.
I'm here for you.
Well, that works out.
Symbiotic relationship. How would you tackle dry brushing into the area behind the bag? I can figure that's a good thing to tackle for new painters.
What's that?
Behind the bag? How would you tackle dry brushing into the area behind the bag? I figure that's a good thing to tackle for new painters. What do you mean behind the bag? Just like
up in here?
Same.
I mean, it got it pretty well.
It's kind of the same technique, essentially. You just don't want to get too rough in those areas or apply too much pressure. Otherwise,
you might find something like that where you need to turn the brush on its side and kind of very lightly pick the areas, almost paint the highlights on. You don't want to just swipe sideways because you'll have a different highlight direction than everything else. But you might have to get into a tight area and just kind of, almost press the paint where you want it, or get in with a brush and paint it, right? But I mean, I would just paint it like I have.
Well, this is just kind of like what you said. Now you can go back and start picking out certain areas.
Yeah, because you're still going to go back and pick out the details. I'm probably not going to leave the belts and the pouch the same color as the armor. This just gives you a way to get all of that done very quickly. It's like overspray. I'm going to go back in and now change, this. Maybe I paint another color of brown over the top of the straps or whatever. This gets me to the point where I'm detailing and catching all of the finished parts very quick.
Super glad I have that texture trainer.
He's patting himself on the back over there, chat.
No, it's just, it works for me because those are great bits. So
Chris basically just said, I'm so glad I'm great.
I'm so glad I do stuff.
I'm so glad I'm the greatest.
Oh, no, that's not what I meant.
It's hard being the greatest, Chet.
I'm looking at all of these old texture trainers.
But goodness gracious.
I need to reprime.
Aren't you proud of me for having all of that done?
This is actually a cool one. Anyway. Hey, guess what time it is?
Time to welcome everybody in and ask them where they've been.
We're back. That was a great example, Jason. Thank you so much. Welcome in, everybody. Where have you been? It is 3:10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time here in Phoenix, and that is not an oil company. That is a time zone here in the United States of America. Welcome. We are painting an undead horse.
He really sticks to the shtick, doesn't he?
That's all right. He's
committed.
The top and the bottom of the hour. Pigment powder when, says Ghost Hunter.
I don't know. I got to prove out some stuff. We got to figure out a packaging method for it.
We're going to do it in bags.
It
might not go through
Bagament.
Bagament. Bagament, bag of taters, bag o' krill. 2028. That'll be coming out. Get ready for how many bags. How about bags? That's right, Dusty Hobbies.
Do not feed the bear.
Bags? Do not feed the bear. Oh, man. Anyway, painting up this dead horse.
No, we're painting up the rider now.
One would say we're beating a dead horse with this model.
It's a good thing tomorrow's payday.
Oh.
And I get to decide who gets paid.
No, that's Jen. Isn't it still Jen? Hell.
You don't know, do you? Now you're worried.
No, I don't.
Now you're worried. Now we got him, chat.
How's that back in the hands of the master? No. Anyway, this is Monument Hobbies. We make the beautiful paint you're seeing Jason use right now called Pro Acryl, and it is a beautiful cold 77 degrees out. It is a beautiful day today here in Phoenix. So
beautiful day.
Beautiful.
Absolutely, preposterously.
Tomorrow it's going to be cold and rainy.
Amazing day.
Chuck, in today's episode of Machine Shops, Adventures in Machine Shops, my employees who went into the tonsil tumor removal 2 weeks ago was declared cancer-free today.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That's good news.
Great news. Huge news. Is there any news on airbrush matte varnish? It's out. Dunbrus.
What?
I will show you. I'm going to send you a link to our matte varnish right now. How about that? Who is matte varnish? That is the question. Here it is. Here's a link. Boom. There you go.
Orky Fish Meat says, I'm only going to pick on Chris on Fridays.
It's Thursday. Good.
It's Thursday.
Orky, I appreciate the I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart.
I appreciate twofold. I appreciate the honesty.
Yep.
And the sincerity.
I appreciate that many ways.
And the sincerity with which you hound Chris.
Yes,
I love
it
both
is
of
sold
those.
out at the current moment, but it will be coming back in stock very soon. Good job selling the new paints, Jason, says Ghost Hunter. Hey, you're welcome, Ghost Hunter. And thank you for complimenting us. And good job for showing up today. This is
Ghost Hunter,
Jason.
you exhibit all of the values of Monument Hobbies.
This is Jason, and we're talking about your painting journey today. We just did a really cool
painting
dry
journey?
wood. Your painting journey? No, the painting journey.
Oh, the painting journey.
At large.
Gotcha,
Like the painting journey at large.
Oh, gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
Bud's asking about the new brush set. When is that coming out?
As soon as Chris stops messing around and gets his job done.
Wait,
Gee.
Chris?
Yeah.
You
Chris,
mean as in CHRIS?
TOPHER?
This guy?
That guy.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, Chris, you're a little behind, and
Me?
the people are starting to wonder if
How
you're
am
actually
I?
even paying
How
attention.
is this on me?
Well,
This
we
is not
decided
on
in a
me,
meeting
chat.
that you weren't part of today.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
That
Perfect. Love those
that
ones.
This
Perfect. Hey, we need Chris to do this thing. Where's he at? Working. That's what I'm doing, chat. What are you doing on a Thursday afternoon?
This guy.
You know what? This one just became super ultra business stream painting time.
Okay, no more joking
With
around.
Jason.
No more joking around.
Jason, the man, craze.
No
So get
more
ready.
joking around, chat.
I
We
mean,
are
this is-
serious business.
I'm convinced Chris is a very complex AI. Beep boop.
Yes.
Beep boop.
Yes. Very complex. Very complex learning model.
Just never asked me to draw hands.
Or how knuckles bend. Turns out motion in 3D space is really hard for computers.
Versus Dollar Tree Colin Farrell. That's hilarious. Hey, you can see me in True Detective Season 2 in the background behind Colin Farrell. That is no lie.
That's a pretty good...
I was in the background, chat. I'm definitely not working, says Flapjack. Hey, get back to work. That's from your boss through me to you. There you go.
I will tell anybody who will listen, it's very scary if your boss has a line to Chris.
Oh yeah,
Let's just get that out there in the open right now.
Accept collect calls. No soliciting. If your boss happens to call me in real life, I will have it that you are fired.
Wow.
You heard me. You heard me.
Chat, what did you do to piss Chris off so?
Zazin, what scene were you in? There was a scene in True Detective where they're on a movie set. In the there was a murder or something on a movie set. It's season 2's episode something, and you'll see me in the background with my long hair.
He did have long hair, by the way.
Yes, I did that for a friend who called me and said, "Hey, we need more background." So there you have it, and I was there. For once, Chris became the fire. Yes, that's right. I am the firee. So do not have your work call Monument Hobbies. I'll give him an earful. Do you know what your employees does between 2 to 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Monday through Friday? Let me tell you.
Wow.
Well, I'll bury you, chat.
He's a rat.
But we want you to stay.
He's a rat.
I'm not a rat.
That's called ratting.
I'll rat you out. Why not?
Yeah,
I'll do it.
Ratting out. We thought he only threw. Well, that was Baby J threw people under the bus. Chris rats you out, and Baby J throws you under the bus.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, chat. I
bring the mob in.
I have to admit that I was not taking into account the way these wonderful human beings would treat the other wonderful human beings in my life, and now I'm wondering who's actually wonderful.
I have to take the slings and the arrows.
There's no
from
slings
these people.
It's okay, so the sling is not something you take. The
slings and arrows
throws
of chat.
the bullet at you.
The slings and arrows.
You don't take the sling. You take the bullet.
I'll take the bullet.
You take
Jason.
the bullet and the arrow.
I'll take the bullet. I'll do that.
But he'll rat you out first.
I will. Here's what I'll do. I rat you out and then I say, no, fire me instead. I'll take the bullet for Flapjack Nickelsack.
But their boss can't fire you.
They can.
So they fire Flapsack.
Well, I did my best.
You didn't do anything good. You got Flapsack fired.
Oh, this derailed so quickly. Hey, speaking of being derailed, we're back. This is a serious business painting stream.
Well, it used to be.
Well, it used to be.
Back in my day.
Back in my day.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
That is hilarious. I can have 20 of my students call Chris every 15 minutes. Tech Elf,
please do.
I will actually fire
send
you
me
if that's the case.
Send me a message in private,
no.
and I will deliver to you one Chris McSushi
Wait,
cell phone
I'm not
number.
For sale. I won't dance.
No, I didn't say deliver. I say you give him your cell phone number.
Oh,
for his students.
No. Well, every spam caller already has it apparently, so it's not like they're getting much. Oh, we know. Yes, it is the slings and arrows of the.
You got. If you're ever going to call Chris, you got to make sure you call him at like 2 a.m.
Why?
Because he answers the phone in like a heavy breathing mode. It's like, hi, you've reached Chris.
What?
See?
Whoa!
Oh, see, now he's going to deny it. Here comes the denial part.
This is false.
Here comes the denial part.
Oh, man.
1-900 McSushi.
1-900 McSushi. No, this is not a weird McDonald's extension.
Does anybody remember 900 numbers? I talk about them all the time because I'm old, but I always wonder, does anybody even get the reference, or they just laugh because it's like, oh yeah, just let the old man do his thing. It's like, you'll forget.
I know. Isn't that like how the 900 numbers were the collect calls?
Well, we were talking about it at lunch.
Yeah, it's the... Isn't that what you used to do at the payphone with the collect call thing? The 900 numbers?
No, that's not. Well, you might have. That's not what it was. The 900 number was I said at lunch. It was the first time that they allowed somebody to make money off the phone call.
Yes.
So it immediately turned to pornography because that's how. That's where everything commercial goes first is pornography. There you go.
Great. Perfect.
Right. Travel Cedric gets it.
Oh, no.
You're staring down 40, but you know what a 900 number is. Okay, there you go. Hot young Chris's are waiting in your area? Yes, Thomas.
Oh, my God.
Hot young Chris's. 1-900 Mac Sushi.
Oh.
Porn in the Nintendo helpline. Oh, the Nintendo helpline was a 900 number? How funny. I know that some companies did their helpline, their service lines as a 900. Thinking what a great service it is that you had to pay like $2.50 a minute.
Oh, my gosh. So
I am Mortal Kombat. You got your ass whooped for what one? Oh, your dad's credit card hated that 900 number arrow for you.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so the tale that I can tell is that I worked for a guy, and we've shown the record off. I think that Jen found the record cover on Google Images.
Okay.
Right? And I did a record cover for my boss at the time. I worked for his wife, technically. She had a fashion company where she made clothing, and I did all of the catalog artwork for her clothing brand. Back when we drew it by hand. She was trying to do something that was kind of like a knock on the original Banana Republic. Because Banana Republic, when it first came out, was like dungarees. It was very Australian field cap, heavy canvas shirts and stuff. It wasn't high fashion. But all of it was hand drawn. And she loved that. So I was hand drawing all of her catalogs. So anyway, her husband is one of the guys who started the whole 900 number craze.
Huh.
And he and his partner had it, and they would get strippers and drive around in limousines and do advertisements for 1-900 hot chicks in your neighborhood. You know, it was hilarious.
Gosh.
It was the most sadistic thing I saw happening in real time. I'm like, you people are freaking horrible, by the way. Will 1-900 Masucci get you Liz too? She's the one that mans the phones.
She is not the one who mans.
She's the one that mans the phones.
I will clarify and make sure that is not an actual thing.
Okay, that just means he's going to go dial 1-900 Masucci right now.
That's funny. They made a movie about those guys. What are you talking about, Mo? Which guys? The ones that Jason was just talking about?
What was that?
There's
somebody yelling.
Oh yeah, the next door.
Folks, did you know there was this thing called a television? Oh yeah, the infomercials. Like TV kind of shut down at around 10.
Yeah.
Or 11 after whatever was called the late show then. And then it was infomercials, but it was like 1-900, commercials and stuff like that. It was hilarious.
The what's it called? That on the TV shopping network, it had something. It was like Q or D something.
Well, the QVC is still around, I think, right? Aren't those places still around?
So.
Home Shopping Network,
like
HSN, and QVC, and
a lot of comedians and a lot of
got their start there.
Yeah, a lot. Like
doing product reveals and stuff.
Mike
Rowe was on there. Yep,
he was on there.
He still does work with them. He still claims that as being one of the best things in his life. They gave him a chance at a job, and he was able to get up there and learn how to speak in front of people. Yeah, it's crazy when you think about it.
Very QVC. I remember that. I listened to a podcast with him the other day.
Silva and Doc Silva.
What are you doing now?
I've been doing the swords while you've been over there taking us off the rails, Chris. Talking about 900 numbers.
I'm so sorry. I need to apologize. Public apology. And let me start with I'm not
sorry.
I am not sorry. Not sorry.
Don't ever get in a relationship with Chris. Because you're like, Christopher, all I need you for once to do is recognize you might be wrong. And he's like, I am not sorry.
I am wrong. I can admit when I'm wrong.
And I thought I was wrong once, but I was mistaken. That's the other thing he says a lot. See?
Yes. I will say that.
See?
You know what's funny? And this is a real this is a real therapy.
A fart
moment.
in church?
This is yes, absolutely.
That's what my dad always used to say. You're about as funny as a fart in church whenever I tell a bad joke.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
He's like, yeah, he's not listening to me at all, Chad. He's like, yeah, whatever.
Dad, yes, farts,
whatever,
dad,
dude.
Church, yeah, I get it. Here's the thing, Chad. You know when I have done something wrong because I never carry the weight of such thing because I will carry it heavier than most of the people that I thought it would do wrong to. So I'll be like, I need to apologize for this thing. What are you talking about, Chris? And then I'll say something, and then it's like, I wasn't even thinking about that. I'm like, great. Good night. So you always know. But for you, chat, I'm not sorry. There's nothing to apologize for. I'm here for you, chat.
Oh.
I'm wrong. I just don't care. That's not what I said, Wad. I care. I care deeply. I care with the power of 1,000 suns. That's right. That's my problem, Wad. Is I
and
care
by
too
caring,
much.
he means that he has no problem ratting you out and lying to you.
I would never rat you out. I would just call you out in public.
He's ratted you out already today, chat.
No, that's just Flapjack.
Oh,
I will rat Flapjack out.
What did Flapsack do?
I don't know. Painted something cool.
You're jealous he's taller than you.
He's so tall. He's so tall. That's fun. I liked seeing all those people in class. And when you were like, so how many people have not seen stream?
It was like 3.
Was 2 people.
It was like 3.
Like, great. Perfect.
I was like, great. Don't I have to deal with all you people already every day?
Which was great.
Couldn't you give some seats to new folks? Jeez.
I thought it was. Flapjack, I did not get you fired. You did get me fired after all. No, you're hired. I'll call your boss.
Yeah, I'll call your boss.
Here. See, I have the opposite effect too. This goes 2 ways. I can get you fired, but I can't get you hired. See what I do there? Just the fear that grips them.
You see this?
That's called steel.
And next up on the stage,
amp color.
we need that in the background. Like every time I introduce a color,
stripper music.
we need like like Bon Jovi in the background. And next, coming to center stage is steel.
Here's what we'll do: we'll play Bon Jovi music, and the whole stream will be just copyright silent. And so you know when there's music happening, and Jason's like, and next to the perfect. That's great.
And next up on center stage,
it just goes silent. That's funny. That actually would be hilarious.
We got shtick for years, folks. Shtick for years.
Hey, you know you're not allowed to play Bon Jovi on stream, right?
I'm a grown-ass man. I can do what I want.
I'm a grown-ass man. Oh, my gosh. Yes, to all of it, chat. Yep. In Mortal Kombat, I'm afraid to click your link, so I won't.
There you go.
We don't do links here. I'm the master of the links. Oh, that's for the song for the new paint. I can't click it, Immortal. You tempt me so. You cannot do this. I am the link master. And I'm sure I will listen to it afterwards. But not right now. I won't. It's the rude sandstorm. Oh my gosh. Wow. It's already 3:30.
No way.
Right. It's all the fun we're having.
We are having a lot of fun. I enjoy the stream for all the fun we have.
Good. I enjoy the stream. Perfect. We're here.
It's a good thing we do this.
That is a good thing we do this. And guess who we do it for?
Me. Oh, wait.
Yes. I would say yes and no, but yes to both. We do it for us.
We the people. I've
people.
heard this.
We do it for ourselves, but you do it for you, which in tandem means that we are also
So, Chad, if you'll pay
we.
attention, I have been painting these swords, and I did them with a dark blue base coat.
Real painting. Sorry.
A dark blue base coat, and then over the top of the dark blue base coat, I did a very thin layer of dark silver.
Okay.
So that we still get a little bit of the bluishness on there. And then now I'm going with steel and catching only the blade face that faces the lighting source, and then the opposite edge. So notice I did the steel across this whole face of the sword, and then just the back edge. And then on this edge, I'll do silver. So it'll brighten this edge up, but I won't do any silver on the bottom edge. Right? So that gives us some dimension, lets us help control the brightness of metallic paints. So we've always got a dark side. The dark side has a little bit more of the bluish shadow in there you can kind of see as it moves up towards the tip of that sword blade there.
Oh, I like that.
Works nice. Like that. Again, just very quick. We're showing you a lot of really quick techniques that give really good results. You just have to do the one thin layer of dark silver over a dark color. It could be dark purple, could be maroon, reds, whatever you want. You choose.
But, Jason.
Sir.
What's the most important step of all?
Just put paint on the model.
There it is, chat. There it is.
Put the paint on the model, chat.
I'm going to nominate you for a Nobel Peace Prize every year till I die for that statement.
I feel like that's the right thing to do.
One of these years, it'll happen.
I feel like that's the right thing to do. I feel like if anybody else in the world who might be saving children, stopping disease.
Hey, you are stopping a disease. You are stopping the disease of
analysis paralysis.
I was gonna come up with something like kitschy about like you're curing the act of not doing art. What is that called? The act of not doing it because we are doing
creative block.
There it is. Creative block.
Again, just one side of the face of the sword, so it's brighter on this edge, and then immediately it gets darker over here.
B-Town. Oh, this is... I know you might be joking about this, but this is more an actual deep question about our painting journey. But what if I put paint on the model and it sucks? Now, here's how I'll answer this, B-Town. It doesn't suck because you've already done the thing. So if you're letting if you're letting the outside dictate what sucks and what doesn't suck, that's not the point. You know?
I'm going to be a little bit more pragmatic. And I'm going to say that we are our harshest critics and that it is okay for you to put paint on the model and think it sucks. Oh. I will back up Chris's statement by saying, be careful how you judge your own work. Only judge it by the previous work you've done, not by something you've seen on the internet or seen on a video or something like that, right?
Yep.
Don't worry about what you aspire to be at the time you're judging your work. Judge how far you've come since the last thing you've done, because it's tracking your progress that will give you a lot more confidence than looking at the finished product and judging against like, I'll never be that good. Well, no, not with that attitude, right? And that's where that really works, because you are the one that sets the pace for your own growth, that kind of stuff. So without being too kumbaya drum circle,
that's a good point.
The reality is that you really do only judge your work, your current work, by your previous work, and make sure that you're growing and moving in the right direction. If when I touch the model with the paintbrush, it turns out that I don't feel like it's better or at the par of the last work that I did, then don't be afraid to paint over it. Try again. There is nothing we do here with models that stops you from a reset button. Not a thing. Just hit the reset button. Do it again. Right? You'll see me do that on chat or on stream. It happens to the best of us. And you can't worry about it, right? A lot of times I'm just making this up as I go. We get very lucky, I think, because I have 45 years experience of doing it. So when I pick colors and stuff, I'm pretty confident that what I'm going to make a decision on I'll like, or I'll be able to turn into something I like. But until you build that confidence, don't worry about it. Just paint it again. Put black primer over the area you don't like and paint it again. Don't feel bad about it either. I will guarantee you out there are the Eric Swensons and the highest end painters of the world that have done the same thing. And I would almost say they're harsher on themselves than you could ever be. They will repaint something a lot quicker than you or I will, right? Because they're painting competition pieces and, you know, things where they think their whole ego is on the line.
That is a great way of putting it.
All right, now we have sword blades.
Chat, I'm scared to do our full punch out because I can see what the full punch out looks like on my other screen.
Do it. Show them.
Whoa!
This is what I have to deal with, chat.
What's going on?
Like, I have this whole paint rack over here that's nice and should be very helpful. And instead, there's more paint on my desk than there is in the thing. So yeah, punch back in because that's scaring me, Christopher.
I can zoom in.
That's scaring me, Chris.
There you go. Right, let me readjust.
I need some silver. Silver. Jeez, Pete's with the focus, brother.
Sorry. What are
you trying to kill us?
Actually, it's freaking out on me. Hold. This is weird.
Chris is trying to kill us, chat.
Sorry. I hit the reset button. Hold. Ooh.
Holy mackerel,
Sorry
chat.
about that. I literally hit the reset button. Hey, you know what? That's why I'm here. Fixed.
Hit launch instead of lunch.
I just realized that I can punch even more in. There you go. That's better. Ooh.
So now with some silver. Silver's going to give us a brighter edge than the steel. This is where I'm going to get just the leading edge.
Google Studio Proco may be the best paint. It's still just paint. So paint right over it and remember what you learned.
100%.
That's a good way to put it.
100%.
Put paint on the model.
You know, a lot of people will talk about, you know, paint bravely, you know, have no fear and fearless painting and all. But it really is something that you learn as you go, is how to maintain your confidence through the mistakes. Because we will all make mistakes in everything we do. You just think about your daily life. Your hobby is no different, especially when you pick one that is centered on, you know, something skill-based with hand-eye coordination and decision-making, like picking colors and things like that. So never be afraid to say, oh, well, I don't like that, and get some confidence by just fixing it. Because being able to fix something like that shoulder pad being upside down on Sanguinius, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even have a minute where I was worried about it or got frustrated. I was like, okay, we're going to break this. I want everybody to take a deep breath. And we just did it. Because there's no other way to get to the conclusion that I wanted other than doing that. So
it was a good example of that exact reasoning, though, right?
Yeah. You got to do it.
How many layers is too many? Asks Zazin.
How long is a piece of string?
3.
That's like how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop, right? What are we talking about layer-wise? There is no right answer. Layering, depending on the technique you're using, the model you're painting can be more or less. I'm a painter that really prefers using fewer layers. So for me, it's as few as possible to get it to look right. I believe that if I've done more than 3 layers of a particular color on the same area, that I need to study how I'm thinning my paint. Yeah. Because I haven't done a good job of getting my, either my viscosity or opacity right in my work on the palette, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Right, I'm going to use, what am I going to use here? I'm going to use steel, actually. Since we've washed all of these panels, rather than using the silver, I'm going to use steel again on the edges of all of these armor panels.
There you go. I punched in again. Fixed it. Three licks to the center of a Tootsie Pop. Yes, this is true. It's scientifically proven by Mr. Owl.
That is true. 1, 2, 3.
That's it. The world may never know.
I mean, they do. He just showed you.
But why does the announcer say that at the end? It's
I don't
one
know.
of the worst unopened questions ever.
They don't trust owls, which I think is very bad for a
false.
Young child to learn that early on.
It's the smartest animal on the planet. According to all the cartoons. Technically. All right. This is the final stretch, chat. We are in the final stretch of this stream. This is looking good, Jason.
Thank you, sir.
Like, you know what you're doing. You know?
I wouldn't go that far. Don't paint a picture. Don't paint a picture we can't live up to there, Chris. Don't write checks
that I can't cash.
That we can't cash.
You see the pics of people who do 1,000 layers? Yes, I have seen that.
Those are funny. It looks like a melted candle
yes,
over the top of a Necron. It's hilarious.
Yikes. I am behaving today. Thank you, Philip.
He is not.
What?
At all.
Flapjack says,
but I have to take some of the problem because I invited him to lunch, which I said I wasn't going to do.
I had a bunch of stuff today. I'm like, well, I guess they're all going, so I should go. So I did.
And here we are.
And the rest is history.
Just enough of the brighter silver on this back edge so that we can tell it's there. Sometimes you can have things that are so dark they kind of move into obscurity, and I really like the shape of this shield. So just doing a little bit of deets and doots of the silver along that back edge puts it back into perspective and separates it from the butt of the horse.
The deets and the doots.
Right? So not too much, but just enough to give us some brightness back there. But notice how we've controlled the brightness on the front angle towards the light source. The back angle of all of these shields where they have that crest in the middle have more of the wash, right? The brown-gray wash applied there. So that darkens and takes away the shine because our wash is very matte.
Takes away my shine or your shine?
Yours, constantly.
Oh.
I mean, maybe not constantly.
You're
still pretty shiny.
Oh, I appreciate that. Chuck the Mead Man says, it's all in the dew tails. Chuck?
He's just trying to get a rise out of me.
That's right. It's a good thing, Chuck, you just said. It's a good man. Good man right there, chat.
They're called details for a reason.
Are they details? But they're not, because we can't use deets in anything we say or do ever in our lives. Hey, Aaron asks, thank you.
You're like giving rules to a 3-year-old.
Oh,
Mom said no. No, Mom didn't say no. Mom said not until you eat your dinner.
Okay. What is eating dinner in the grand scheme of life? Aaron says, thank you, Chris and Jason, for the explanation of your gold non-metallic yesterday. You did wonders for me. Nice. I did that for you, Aaron. Me, Christopher. Thank you, Chris and Jason, for your explanation. Now, yes.
You see what I have to put up with, Chet?
Jason's non-metallic metal is the theme of 2025, which is also the theme of his entire painting career. He likes non-metallic metal, and I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad I was able to help in that process directly as well. I think it was like a 50-50 thing, right?
You're definitely not getting a rise out of me in this one. Painting. I'm not paying any attention to you, Christopher.
See, this is good. This is kind of like that ultra hyper-focused training that people go through, and I'm the distraction. So it's good. I'm actually making Jason a better painter by being slightly obnoxious.
Slightly?
Oh, I knew that was coming.
Bazow!
Yikes.
Bazow! Got him. Why the burp?
I don't know. That was on there.
Why the burp?
It was about 75%, 25%, but I don't want to say whose favor. Okay, that's fair, Aaron. That's fair. I do a lot of work around here. All right.
You.
Source doot doot deet deet. Beep boop. That's right. Jason's all about the doots and the deets. I'm all about the beeps and the boops. So when I start painting, I'm going to just turn your all's information about the doots and the deets upside downs and teach you how to do the beeps and the boops. Get ready for that stream. You thought deets and doots were important. What about those beeps and boops? Whole new painting tech coming your way. See, I'm afraid if Jason comes on this side of the camera and uses all my little toys back here, that he'll have so much fun that he'll not want to get back up there and paint. Yes, you did, Philip. The bottom of the hour train whistle has come and gone.
Again, just picking out some edges. Treat the metallic like you would anything else. You can stipple, you can give textures to it, you can thin it, glaze it, do whatever you want, right? Don't let metallics drive you into thinking that they're so different. You gotta, reinvent the wheel or have a totally different way of painting with them. Usually you'll find that the way they look feels a lot better if you just treat them like normal paint. Forget about the shine. Paint shades on them. Use undercoats like the blue that you saw me use.
Can we butt stipple them? Thor's Pond, no.
Yeah. Of course you can. Don't listen to that man.
Don't listen to that man. Butt stipple. Yikes.
See, stippling right there.
That looks great, though.
Looks almost like a hammered metal that I get out of that by doing the stippling as a shine.
Mm-hmm. That's just straight up silver you're using?
Steel.
Oh, that's steel.
Yeah, this is steel because this armor that we did all the dark washes on, steel, like we did with the leather that we did on the example a minute ago, the highlight color doesn't have to go any brighter than your midtone if you applied a bunch of washes.
Right.
So the steel was our midtone color on this armor, but because we did the washes and darkened it down, now we can just go back with steel again, and it does double duty work and doesn't get me, I said duty, and doesn't necessarily give us that overly bright coloring that silver would, and allows stuff like the sword blade that we painted with silver to stand out and look cleaner. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Now, how would you go about, here's a question from Thor's Paw, how would you go about making metal look blued like a firearm?
You could do a glaze of like dark blue back over the top of it once you had it done. Blue transparent could work.
He did say duty, yes, Source. Duty. It's duty. Not duty. Duty.
He's just making stuff up, chat.
Dude.
I promise not to feed the Chris anymore.
That's how you spell that? It's the phonetic spelling? Cat, I figured something out.
Uh-oh.
This is actually serious. I don't stipple enough.
Using your brush in a stippling manner can allow you to create a lot of really cool effects in areas that are definitely like tighter to get into.
Yeah. Just go for it, really. Especially when you're trying to build up some kind of texture, like what you were saying, his chest plate looks hammered now.
Yeah.
Or whatever that terminology is for it, right?
Yeah.
Which makes it look even more realistic.
Yeah, like if you look right in here on this thigh plate where it looks like we have more of a line, if I were to go in here and just add a little bit of stippling along where that line is, because sometimes the metallics don't give you a blended edge as well as you would like. So do your line of highlight and then kind of stipple around the line and look at how that spreads that out immediately and gives you a much more of a blend just with the stippling. So it doesn't give you a hard edge anymore. Just a couple of dots of paint will do wonders with metallics.
Yep.
So it even is less on, sometimes it's less of on a metallic like you would do on fabric. You would stipple to give it the texture so it feels like there's thread or like wool, kind of knots up.
Yeah.
And you're giving it a texture for a reason, like the surface when you touch it would be soft with a stippling or whatever. Sometimes it's a great way to blend between colors when things like metallics have a physical component that doesn't blend. The mica flake doesn't blend, right? The pigment in the paint can blend, but the mica flake can always give you a hard edge. So you might take a picture of your model, and while the metallics look great, you take a picture and it gives you a hard line. Stippling along that line on both sides of it where the colors match will make that not happen, right? Because those little dots of color will help it be visually blended a lot better. Make some sense?
Yeah. It's just about taking the extra time and step to do that is something that I just need to start practicing.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it does make a world of a difference.
And it is another step, but it doesn't have to be super time consuming.
Right.
Depending on how detailed you want to get. That gives us a much better metallic. This is only 2 colors of metallic, by the way, on his armor. Yeah. Try to make things simpler, not harder. Understanding that, using a color and then putting a wash over it really gives you another color. So you can go back with the same color again and not be stuck or take your model into weird spaces where the color choices you've made don't really work out. because you thought you had to choose another color and you could have just used the first one again?
Daddy Cookie says, man, looking at this and comparing it to my 40K DKOK army, and I feel ashamed. Don't feel ashamed.
Why?
Feel inspired. Give it a go.
That's the whole point of this show, is to show you the things that you may not have thought of that would make your life a lot easier, less stressful doing decision making on, color choices or how to apply the color to get it to look good. And, sometimes the same painting technique doesn't work for everything you want to do, but it feels really comfortable. So how can you leverage that to make it work in ways that give you a much better outcome? That whole blend was stippled, and that just happened super quick. Well, except for the edges down here, right? Like on this area, I didn't really stipple it, but I can go back in and fill in that area where you get a little bit of a harsh line. And then just tapping. And sometimes it's not really stippling because I'm using the side of the point of the brush, so I'm getting more of a line on there than a dot, but it has the same effect.
Wow, chat. Almost time. Isn't that crazy, Jason?
Right when I'm getting into it every day. You are the enemy of fun. You and your clock.
I have to be.
You and your clocks.
I have to be.
I would just stream 24 hours a day, 7 days a week if it weren't for Chris.
Oh, I don't think so.
No, definitely not. As much as my brain sometimes would like to think I could pull that off, there's not a chance in the world. Yeah, so see, we get a really good shine out of that. That really is not much of, some of it is the reflectivity of the paint, but a lot of it is just where we chose to put the brighter silver and the darker silver. So we get a lot more control this way overall than just relying on the sparkly nature of metallic paints to do the work for you. Treat it like a normal paint a dark base, paint a mid-tone, put a wash on it, then come back after it with a highlight, and you'll be a lot happier with it in the long run. I'm digging that armor, though. Looks a good. Pop out, because I think I've got to paint like some, if I were going to finish it up, I'd paint the brown on the shaft and things like that, and obviously the base. Yeah. But I think this is at a good spot where we can,
I think so,
call him, for the most part, Dunzos.
Yeah.
And then we can start into painting our towel. Oh, we got to do like claws and teeth. So I might do that off stream and then come back and show a finished product eventually. But nothing that I have left to do is anything other than annoying details.
And then we'll paint going to do some white, how to paint white.
White armor, yeah. We'll start tomorrow for a Friday show. I think is a great way to do it because we'll get through the bulk of it in one show.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. It's more of the concepts that we're going to focus on and doing that.
Yeah, because it'll be the same or very similar to the way that I did the white helmet on our veteran Space Marine for the Blood Angels, right? We have a YouTube short up that shows us doing this with a brush. For the armor, it'll be kind of a hybridization of the color usage that we did here and the method that we applied on the tank, right? Because we're going to be painting a ghost keel suit. Somebody had asked us to paint some Tau. Other people have been wanting white armor. We're going to do both.
Nice.
We'll paint a ghost keel suit.
Perfect.
And paint it in white. And then we'll be able to bring in some weathering and all sorts of really cool stuff that over the life of that, we'll spend some time on him and get him really nice. And then I've got a really cool bust after that I want to do, right?
Yep.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah. All sorts of fun stuffs. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, gang. Always love spending time with you guys during the week. We are getting close to the weekend, but we got one more before we finish it out.
That's right.
So to everybody that has joined us for the first time, please hit the follow and or the subscribe button, depending on if you're watching us on Twitch or on the YouTubes. We'd love to have you back here, so hit whatever the bell and alerts are to get notifications. We stream Monday through Friday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. in Phoenix, Arizona, Mountain Standard Time here in the U.S. We are GMT minus some number. 9 right now. No, 8 right now, I think. I don't remember. We're 9 hours behind France. That's what I know, because I had a meeting today with France. So... so if you're in France, we're 9 hours behind you. There you go. Now you remember when to be here. But click on all those links that Chris put up in chat, and make sure to check out the monumenthobbies.com store, where you can find links to all of the Pro Curl products and Pro Series brushes that you see me using here on stream. Pick up some for your own the next time you're looking for some hobby products. We love that you guys are just as crazy as us and like the things we make. Thank you for your support. Check out the Discord, where we have 5,589, that's silly, amazing artists watching me gently use just the tip when going in dry brushing. I said that out. You got me, Ghost Hunter. You got me, Ghost Hunter. Thank you. Yeah, our Discord community is amazing. Tremendous artists over there, both beginners and veterans. There's something to be learned from everybody there. Our monthly challenges are underway. Great place to get involved, challenge yourself, do something new in your painting, try new things, hang out, show off your work to other people, meet new friends, get inspired, the whole dream. So I'd love to have you over there. Check out the YouTube, where all of our live shows get clustered in the live tabs. You can go back and watch them again and again and again and again. As well as all of the shorts and tutorials that Chris pulls out of here and puts up for your ease of viewing. So join us there as well. And the FLGS link I'll show you to all of the amazing stores around the world that carry our stuff. Please support your local hobby store, as they do all the hard work, and keep it air conditioned in the summer, which is always nice. So you can go play with your friends, paint, and meet new people. Enjoy the social aspect of our wonderful hobby. So much better than yelling at people on the internet while playing League of Legends.
I don't do that.
You do that. I called you out.
I quit.
We need an intervention.
I quit.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Stick around. Chris is going to find somebody to raid. Show some love in the chat we wind up in, and we will see you back here tomorrow for some Ghost Kill action.
That's right.
Adios, gang.